Okay, hi, welcome to section 1.1. We're talking about nouns and articles today, and we're on page 12. So, a noun is a word that identifies a person, a place, an animal, some sort of thing, an object or a subject. Okay, so for example, in English, the word chair is a noun, right? It identifies an object. So it's like you're labeling it. This is what I'm calling you. You're a chair, okay? Versus a different kind of word, like a different part of speech, like a verb or an adjective or an adverb, okay? So it's important to start by recognizing what that is. Chair. That's what a noun is. It identifies an object, okay? So in Spanish, every noun, okay, is going to have gender. So it'll either have natural gender or grammatical gender. So the word silla, for example, which is the Spanish word for chair, has grammatical gender that is feminine. Oftentimes we can tell if a word has feminine grammatical gender by the ending. If it ends in an A, it will often have that feminine grammatical gender. If it ends in an O, like the word barco, which means boat, then it'll be masculine. This is not always the case, but generally speaking, it is what is typical. So by grammatical gender, what I mean is that clearly, we know that like a chair and a boat don't inherently have a gender. Like in English, actually, we do have the concept of certain things being masculine or feminine. You hear people talk about boats sometimes, and they refer to them as female. They use like the feminine pronouns for them, things like that. But like a boat doesn't inherently have gender, and that's clear enough if we use the feminine articles, the pronouns in English to refer to a boat. In Spanish, we're using the masculine. So no inherent gender. This is grammatical gender, which means that in languages where you have the use of grammatical gender, every noun is going to have masculine or feminine pronouns, articles, etc. And that's just how the language works. We don't really have this concept so much in English. And we can tell right away that that's true because in English we would just say the chair or the boat, right? But in Spanish we're going to have la silla and el barco. Okay, so we have our grammatical gender. Every single noun is going to have its own masculine or feminine article that goes along with it, okay? So most nouns that refer to males are masculine, and most nouns that refer to females are feminine. So that would be like natural gender in the sense that for example, if you have the word niña and the word niño, right? Niña means girl, and the niño means boy. So this one is going to be feminine, and this is going to be masculine just by the very nature of the noun itself, okay? So I mentioned the gender already. One other thing that I want to mention really quickly while I'm erasing all this is that all nouns also have number, okay? They're either going to be singular, which means just one, or plural, which means there's two or more. Okay? If you can look at the chart on page 12, you'll see they have one there with examples of masculine versus feminine nouns. So we have words like el hombre versus mujer, where hombre means man and mujer means, let's see. Oop, that's too thick. And man means, there we go, that's better. Woman. Okay. And of course, they have their articles with them. So, el hombre, la mujer. Okay. We also have some other examples there. We have el chico, la chica, el pasajero, la pasajera, el conductor, la conductora, el profesor, and la profesora. Okay. So, if we move forward there, okay, most nouns ending in O, in ma, and in s are masculine. Okay, M for masculine. Most nouns ending in A, sion, and dad will be feminine. And F is for feminine. Okay, now they make sure to tell you most because sometimes there are exceptions, but this is the rule. So if you go with this rule and you see these, you can be pretty sure that you'll be able to guess the grammatical gender right, like correctly, almost all the time. Okay, now do notice here that the A ending is feminine, but MA is masculine. So you want to pay attention to that, okay? So, all right, we have here in this list several different words, okay? And those are in our vocabulary, and so you can just you can look at those, you can put those to memory, make flashcards if it's easier for you to remember, to memorize vocabulary words. I'll just go through a couple of examples here. So we have the word, for example, el diccionario, the dictionary. El video. Here's an example of a word that ends in the ma and is masculine. El problema. Okay, notice it ends in that MA. And that it's feminine. So if you're just looking at it and you only notice the A, you might think that it's a feminine noun, but it's actually masculine. It has that MA ending. Okay, so we also have, because above those, we have words that end in O, and it's pretty easy when you see a word that ends in O to assume that it's masculine. We also have these words like el país, where it ends in that S. So we know that it's going to be masculine. Now, it's important to make sure because the S is also going to be used to denote whether something is singular or plural, that you're making sure to note whether what you're talking about is a singular noun. If it's a singular noun that ends in S, then it's pretty safe to say it's going to be masculine, but you want to make sure you're paying attention because if it's plural, it could be either masculine or feminine because the S is also used to denote number, okay? I hope that makes sense. I'm going to go through the rest of the lessons, and depending on whether you've studied Spanish before or not, some of this might be a little difficult to understand. It might seem like a lot all at once. So if I'm ever using any words that you don't understand, or just covering a topic in a way that you need more clarity for it, please don't hesitate to ask because this can seem overwhelming if you've never studied a foreign language before or you've just never studied Spanish before. Okay, so we have the feminine examples here, and note if you're looking at this, most of these words end in A, and we know that those are feminine. They end in A. We also have examples of words that end in ción. So, la conversación okay, ends in that ción. No, it's feminine. We also have an example with dad at the end, la comunidad. Okay, so those would be endings you want to memorize, because if you just look at it, it may not be clear whether it ends in, whether it's masculine or feminine just from the ending. All right, so we want to be careful. Here are some exceptions, and with every rule there are going to be exceptions, so that's why it's important to talk about these. So we have words like el lápiz, which is masculine. El mapa, masculine, even though it ends in that A. And el día, also masculine. Okay? We also have la mano, which means hand, and it's feminine. So these would be exceptions where you want to memorize the actual gender for the word, because it'll be misleading. If you just look at mapa, just in a cursory way, you might say, oh, that's feminine. I see it ends in an A, but it's masculine. So these I would memorize, okay? All right, so some nouns have identical masculine and feminine forms. And then the article will indicate the gender of those words. So for example, we have the word turista. Okay. It ends in an A. Okay, so we might think it's feminine, but it can be feminine or masculine, and it's going to depend on the article. So if you have a male tourist, he's going to be el turista. But if you have a feminine, like a woman who's a tourist, it'll be la turista. Okay? Same with the other examples here. El joven or la joven, el estudiante or la estudiante. All right. So, then after we discuss the gender, we can talk about plurality. So, this is how you make a noun plural. A noun that ends in a vowel. So, noun ending in a vowel. You form the plural by adding an S. Okay? Noun ending in a consonant, you're going to add ES. Okay? For a noun that ends in Z, you're going to change the Z to a C and then add ES. Okay? So, this is super easy whenever you have it ending in a vowel, because then you're just going to add the S. So, the examples they give here, they say el chico. To make it plural, we're going to say chico, add that S. And then the article is going to change as well, because this article is singular, but we want the plural article, which here will be los. Same thing with chica. If we have chica, to make it plural, we'll add that S and then make our article plural, las chicas. Okay? Now, for some other examples over here. We have el lápiz. To make that plural, we're going to change that Z to a C and add ES. So we're going to change it and it's going to turn into lápices with that accent. And then we're going to make that plural. Now, I want to take a break real quickly and just note this. For those of you who haven't seen this before, when you see that little line over a vowel, that's going to indicate to you that that's the syllable that's stressed. So we have normal stresses in language, in our words. So like, for example, I can give you an example. In English, if we have that word, there's a word that you normally stress, the syllable, that you normally stress, right? You're going to say donkey. You're not going to say donkey. So words are generally going to have regular patterns for pronunciation. And in Spanish, we have the same thing. So a word that does not have an accent will always stress the second to last syllable. So for example, this word, in a word that has no accents, you always stress the second to last syllable. So when you're pronouncing this, you count your syllables. And a syllable is going to be basically like where you break the word based off the vowels. So we have P-A-L-A-B-R-A. So we want to do the second to last syllable. So 1, 2. This is the one we stress. So it's going to be palabra. Okay? Now, in a word where we break with that pattern, a word like this one, normally we would pronounce this syllable. But in Spanish, we actually pronounce this one. We're breaking the rule for pronunciation, and that's why that accent mark is there, okay, because we're breaking that rule. So you would say teléfono, okay? So if you see an accent, that's what that means. It's telling you what you need to pronounce in the word, okay? So tiny break over. Let's go back to looking at this. So you want to make sure to note that whenever a singular noun has an accent mark on the last syllable, the accent is going to be dropped from the plural form. So we have a word like la lección. In that last syllable. And notice, again, you have that accent because you're stressing the last syllable, not the second to last syllable. When we make it plural, we're going to drop that accent mark. Okay? The masculine plural form may refer to a mixed gender group. So the way to remember this, okay, is that if you have, let's say, you have one man, or let's say one boy. So you have a class at a school. And there's one guy in that class plus 25 girls. Okay? You would think, well, there's more women than men, so the pronoun should be feminine. There's more women. But that's not the way it works. In in Spanish, if there's ever a mixed group, meaning there's both men and women, or both girls and boys or whatever, the pronoun and grammatical gender are automatically going to be masculine. So even if you have one man and like 2.5 million women, it's still going to be masculine, okay? So that means a mixed group, a group of women and men together will be masculine, okay? In terms of the grammatical gender, how you write it out. If it's just a group of men, it will be masculine. If it's just a group of women, it'll be feminine. But if it's a group of men and women together, it'll be masculine. All right, so Spanish articles. Spanish has 4 forms that are equivalent to the English definite article the. Okay? Spanish also has 4 forms that are equivalent to the English indefinite article, which, according to context, may mean a, an, or some. So, for our definite articles, we're going to have el, la, los, and las. Okay? So, these are our singular pronouns, and these are the plural ones. Okay? El is masculine, and la and las. Here, el and los are masculine, la and las are feminine. Okay? But all of these refer to the. So if you're saying you're using a definite article, you're going to use one of these 4, but it's going to match the noun based on number or number and gender. So if I tell you, for example, if I say the word muñecas, and I tell you to give me the article, you need to look at the noun and say, okay, well, let's figure out the number and the gender. So let's do that now. If I gave you this noun and told you, tell me what definite article goes with it, you need to figure out, okay, is it feminine or masculine? Is it singular or plural? So if you look at it really quickly, you can tell what? What can you tell about it? You can tell that it's plural and also feminine. So if we look at the chart here, we're going to end up picking las muñecas. Okay? Now, we also have, we also have our indefinite articles, okay? So indefinite articles are like a and an and some. So the is definite, meaning like I'm saying the table. So like the table that I want versus, a table, like more like an idea of a table. It's not a specific one necessarily, okay? So now we're talking about the indefinite articles. We are also going to have different forms for these. So for these, we'll have un and una, unos, and unas. And again, these are singular and these are plural. Okay? So, really quickly, I'll go ahead and I will run through these articles, the exercises here at the bottom, the manos a la obra. And I'll just write out the answer. So if you want to pause the screen right now, the recording, and you can fill them out right now. 5 and 6. That'll give you a chance to do them before I go through. So, number 1, we have la chica. Okay. Number 2, el chico. Number 3, la nacionalidad. Okay, we know that because of that dad ending. Number 4, los cuadernos. Okay, we have that O ending there and it's plural, has that S. Number 5, los problemas. We have that S ending, so we know it's plural, but we also have that MA. Remember, when you see a noun ending in the MA, it's going to be masculine. Okay, and then finally, las mujeres. Mujeres are women, so that's going to be feminine. Let's see. Okay, so let's erase this really quickly. Okay. All right, so then we have the next set. Un autobús. Un autobús. Una lección. Una computadora. Unos hombres. Una señora. And unos lápices. Okay, so that's it for this lecture. If you have any questions, please make sure to post them in the forum and I'll answer them there.